welcome. My name is Jocelyn and I have been asked on my channel for the last probably year or two to share some videos about books, whether it's books I've read and reviewed or books that I want to read, or just kind of videos surrounding books, because I have a lot of people who follow me that also really enjoy a good novel. And I have got an embarrassingly large stack of books that I have not read yet. A lot of these, I think almost all of these, if I'm not mistaken, have been gifts to me. During the year of 2018, I read so many books. And then at the end of the year and also during 2019, I was gifted quite a few books, but didn't really read much last year. I really focused on my YouTube channel and building that, and a lot of times when I read books, I get so sucked in that I don't want to do anything else. I just want to read a book. And it's very distracting and very time consuming. So I didn't read a whole lot last year, but given the current climate, I think that I will be getting a fair amount of reading done, hopefully, and might be able to make a little bit of a dent in these books. So I thought I would just get on camera today and share with you some of the things that I would like to read in the future, because I have them in physical form in front of me to read. I haven't done any kind of book review type of video ever. They make me a little bit nervous. I don't feel as though I don't want to say smart enough to review books, but I don't know that I know all of the right lingo and the things to look for whilst I'm reading the books. If I enjoy the storyline, I usually like the book. I don't always focus so much on grammar and sentence flow and choices that the author has made in the book. If I like the story, I like the book. So I don't know how good I would be at reviewing books, but perhaps if enough people are interested, I might try and keep that in mind as I'm reading these books. If these are books that you've read and enjoyed, also let me know down in the comments below. Or if after seeing what I've got on my to-read list, you have book suggestions, I almost want to say don't let me know, because the last thing I need is to add to this pile, but let me know down in the comments below. Okay, so I've got, like I said, quite a few books in front of me. If you saw the thumbnail, you know that I've got quite the stack. So let's get started with the one that's right on top. I have this book right here. This is a book by Amy Reed. It is called The Nowhere Girls. I downloaded, what is that app called? Goreads. I don't need to look it up. Goreads, and I found a lot of books through that I add to my to-read list. So this went on that list, and I think that my husband's family got this for me last Christmas. So not this most recent Christmas, but the Christmas before that. And this, let's see, let me find the synopsis. This is a book about a bunch of girls, a kind of a girl gang, getting redemption for another girl who they think is wronged. I don't know if I should read the synopsis. Maybe I'll read the synopsis of this one and a handful of them, but not all of them. So this is: Grace wants nothing more than to be invisible at her new school, but when she learns that Lucy Moynihan, the former occupant of her new home, was run out of town after accusing the popular guys at school of, she convinces Rosina and Aaron to join her mission to get justice for Lucy. They form an anonymous group of girls at Prescott High to resist the sexist culture at their school, which includes boycotting sex of any kind with the male students. As the Nowhere Girls grow in number, their movement becomes about more than sex and transforms the lives of its members, their school, and the entire community. I just thought this was really interesting, and it just seemed like a good book and had really good reviews on Goodreads. So I have not read it. One thing that you'll notice is I primarily enjoy fiction and a lot of YA novels, young adult. I like a lot of young adult books. They're just easy on the mind, easy to read. I enjoy that. Life is too complicated. I want easy reads. And the next book that I got is a book from my friend Mariana, and it is by the author Robin Benway. It is the book Far From the Tree. It's funny, I haven't picked up these books in so long, so I hardly remember what any of them are about. But let's see. Being the middle child has its ups and downs. But for Grace, an only child who was adopted at birth, discovering that she is a middle child is a different ride altogether. After getting pregnant at 16 and putting her own baby up for adoption, she goes looking for her biological family and finds an older brother and a younger sister. But she struggles to find the balance between her cautious joy at discovering 2 brand new family members and the gaping loneliness that lingers in the space her daughter once held. So I don't know much about this book. This was a gift, again, from my friend, so I didn't have much experience with this beforehand, but I am excited to read this one. Oh, next we have 2 poetry books. One of them I have read a little bit, the other one not at all. So the first one that I have is by Caroline Kaufman, and it is the Light Filters in Poems. This one I have read a little bit. You can see some sticky marks in there, but I have not read much else. We do have some really nice pages and doodles in here, so I'm excited to read the rest of this one. And the other one that I got is a gift from my same friend, Mariana. We're both very into books, and this is the original Pillow Thoughts books, and I have not read this one. I know that there's, I think, at least 3 of the Pillow Thoughts books, but I haven't read any of them. And this one's by Courtney Peppernill. So these are pretty popular. I don't think that there's any like really description. Oh, Pillow Thoughts is a collection of poetry and prose about heartbreak, love, and raw emotions. It is divided into sections to read when you feel you need them most. Make a cup of tea and let yourself feel. And then this one, Light Filters in Poems, this says, with raw honesty and emotion, Light Filters in captures the varied, wondrous moments that define what it means to be human. Giving up too much of yourself to someone else, not fitting in, endlessly Googling how to be happy, figuring out who you want to be. So this one also, I've read again a little bit of this one, and this one is really good. So those are the 2 poem books that I own, and I have not read either of them fully. Oh, the next one I'm actually borrowing from my mother. I borrowed it a long time ago and have yet to read it. This is Crazy Rich Asians. We did go see this movie in theaters, and I did really enjoy it, but I kept hearing from her that the book is very different from the movie, and so I'm really interested in seeing what those differences are. I personally like to watch movies first and then read the book, because I find that if I've read the book first and then I go see the movie in theaters, like if it has a movie adaptation, I get angry at the movie for leaving things out. But if I watch the movie first and then I read the book, then I'm excited about the things that are new in the book. So one way I get angry, the other way I don't, and so I prefer to do it that way if I can. Next is something that I picked up at my family's garage sale. This was actually a book from my sort of younger brother. I have 3 brothers, 1 real brother and then 2 stepbrothers, and the older stepbrother had read this a long time ago and I have never read it, and I'm waiting to finish the TV series before I read it, and it is Game of Thrones. I'm really interested to read this because Alex and I are currently watching the series. We're halfway through, and now that he's not in school and we're both in quarantine, I mean everybody's in quarantine right now, we're hoping to finish up the series. I think we're over halfway, I think, and so I'm hoping to get to, well, I don't know what order any of these books are that I'm going to read them, but eventually I'll read this just to see what the difference between the show and the book, the novel, the original version is. Next, I have 2 books because they're both books in a series, and I was part of a book club, still sort of am, but I don't think that the book club is active. It's the book club that was started by Christina Chang, and I think the first book we read was the first in this series, and I loved it so much that I went and bought the other 2 in the series and have not read them yet. But the first book is A Darker Shade of Magic, and I have the next 2. So I have A Gathering of Shadows, so this is book number 2, and then I have A Conjuring of Light, and this is book number 3, and I think that there's only the 3. It's really hard to describe what these are about, but if you like Harry Potter-esque kind of novels, I think you would like something like this. This is kind of a darker version of that, and it involves quite a bit of magic. It involves different universes, so parallel universes kind of thing, and it's really good. There's not a lot of romance, at least not in the first one. I think I read somewhere that there is romance in one of these, or maybe these two novels, but not so much in the first one. But I really, really, really liked the first one. So I think that these might be the ones that I read next, because I mean, it was like a year ago that I read the first one. So I almost need to brush up on that first one before I dip back into these ones, because there is a lot going on in the first book. So I want to make sure that I remember everything that happened, so that when I go to read these ones, it all makes sense. These are really thick. These are pretty chunky books, but really, really good. So I'm really excited to have these and to read them. I bought them right after I finished the first one, so I've had them for quite a while. Okay, we only have 1, 2, sort of 5 books left. All right, the next one is another one that was a movie, and I picked it up at a yard sale for like $1 because I thought it sounded interesting. I also really like apocalyptic kind of books. I've read a lot of YA apocalyptic kind of books in the past, and this one is sort of along that line, and it is The Fifth Wave. I've never read this, but I know they made it into a movie. I think I watched a little bit of the movie, but I've never seen it the whole way through, and it just seemed like a kind of book that I would enjoy, and for $1 at a yard sale, I went ahead and picked it up. But I've had this for a very, very long time and have not read it. Ooh, next is the most this is a book I'm not sure I will ever read, and I bought it because I was subscribed to Book Monthly. Is that what it's called? There's a subscription service where you can choose a book to be sent to you out of a certain 5 or something like that, and you can also add on books. And so I added this on because I was feeling adventurous, and it is quite the lofty goal to finish this book, or even really start this book. So so it is a Stephen King novel, and it is Sleeping Beauties. This is, I think, the most recent release from Stephen King in conjunction with Owen King, which I think is his son. I should know that. I don't. And I honestly don't really remember what this is about, but it sounded really interesting. And it was right, I think I bought this right after I went and saw the newest version of It. And yeah, so I own this. I don't know if I'll ever read it. I'd like to think that I will eventually read it. I'll go ahead and read this because I feel like I don't ever hear about this. So let me read the summary. There's a word, what is this? The outline of what the book's about. So in a future so real and near it might be now, something happens when women go to sleep. They become shrouded in a cocoon-like gauze. If they are awakened, if the gauze wrapping their bodies is disturbed or violated, the women become feral and spectacularly violent. And while they sleep, they go to another place, a better place, where harmony prevails and conflict is rare. One woman, the mysterious Eve Black, is immune to the blessing or curse of the sleeping disease. Is Eve a medical anomaly to be studied, or is she a demon who must be slain? Abandoned, left to their increasingly primal urges, the men divide into warring factions, some wanting to kill Eve, some to save her. Others exploit the chaos to wreak their own vengeance on new enemies. All turn to violence in a suddenly all-male world. Set in a small Appalachian town whose primary employer is a women's prison, Sleeping Beauties is a wildly provocative, gloriously dramatic father-son collaboration that feels particularly urgent and relevant today. So it does sound really interesting, so I would really like to read this, but oh my god, I've never endeavored to read something so lofty as this, but I think that it could be a really good read. And I've never read a Stephen King novel before, so it would be quite the adventure to do so. All right, so the next 3 books, and these are the last ones I'm going to be talking about, are all in a series, and these are, I think, the most recent books I've gotten. These ones I got from Alex's parents also because I put them on my Christmas list, because I've heard so many people over the years talk about these books who are also interested in the same kind of novels that I'm interested in. And so finally I thought, you know what, I want to read these. I want to know what the hype's about. I feel like some people love them, but I also hear that some people don't. So if you've read these, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Okay, so These are the books by Sarah J. Maas. They are A Court of Thorns and Roses, and it is the 3 of them in here. They did come in this box set. So we have A Court of Thorns and Roses, I can't say that, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin. So I'm very excited to finally read these, because again, I've heard so many people rant and rave about these in the best way, and then occasionally I feel like I hear somebody say that they really don't like these, so I don't know. I did it, and I think those are all of the books that I have to read in this house. There might be a handful or like 1 or 2 here and there that I missed, but I think that this is everything. I haven't personally purchased a book in a very long time because I knew that I had all of these to read. Hopefully this year I will read some more. I do have a Kindle and I do tend to pick that up and read it because it's just easier to carry it here and there. But now that I'm home for who knows how long, hopefully I will get a dip in this pile of books. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you have any other recommendation videos that you would like to see me film, or book recommendations that you think I would be interested in, leave all of those things in the comments down below, and if you don't want to miss any updates, definitely consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.